What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 10 NFL Power Rankings. I can't believe we are already into a week with double digits. It's just a reminder that we got to enjoy this football sport while we can before we're forced to watch basketball and that one sport that they play on ice skates. Before we hop into the Power Rankings, guys, please do hit that like button if you enjoy the weekly Power Rankings here every Tuesday. Also a reminder to use promo code ThatFranchiseGuy when you buy your tickets on SeatGeek, where you get the best prices on the best user interface. You'll save $20 on your first purchase and support the channel in the process. All right, let's hop right on in here. It's a very interesting week. We had a new team take the crown last week, and this week we've got a new team taking the cellar, and that is going to be the New York Jets, dropping down 4 positions this week. It's almost inexplainable, everything that's going on here. We know that teams that have poor ownership do tend to disappoint, but the Jets have really taken that to the next level. The trickle down here with the coaching staff, the train wreck front office, I think they are in the right direction with the new GM, but it's trickling down to the players, the coaches. This team is just in free fall right now, and Sam Darnold is showing a lot of flaws right now. It's just an absolute mess right here in New York for the Jets and for the Giants, but you know, just no signs of really turning this thing around fast. Number 31, the Cincinnati Bengals, the only team without a win left in the NFL. They were on bye this week. And then we've got the Dolphins climbing up 2 spots. You know, they at least have some energy and some culture here. I think Brian Flores at least has these guys playing like they want to win football games. I think this team has the brightest future of the bottom here. Like, they at least have a plan and direction, and I think we're seeing that reflected on Sundays a little bit. They're a little more competitive now than they were, well, definitely a hell of a lot more competitive than they were to start the season. Then we've got the Redskins at number 29, just a pretty stagnant team. Dwayne Haskins just kind of existed against the Bills. On the bright side, you know, he didn't turn the ball over, kind of kept this team alive in that game. That's almost the best you can do in your first start in Buffalo, which was a pretty hostile environment to go and try and play in. So jury is still out on what they have in Dwayne Haskins. The Giants are going to come up a spot. That's more just because of the incapabilities of their New York brother there, but you know, this offense can move the ball. Daniel Jones can do some nice things, but he's also a turnover machine. The big problems for this Giants team are the defense that has been even worse than you could have imagined here. Terrible secondary, no pass rush. Their 4 best players on defense are run-stopping defensive linemen. Yeah, Leonard Williams can rush the passer a little bit, but the direction this team is going on in is just miserable. So we do have a tiered gap up here to our next slate of teams. Just a more competitive bunch here. Teams that could probably play upset against better teams. So the Broncos here at number 27. The quarterback situation here, obviously the major question mark. The defense has been playing better the last month of the season. They're running the ball with Philip Lindsay pretty well. You know, this team is competent, but not going anywhere. Number 26, the Atlanta Falcons. They were on bye. The worst defense in the NFL, but you would think Matt Ryan will be back pretty soon here, if not this week. They can still move the ball on offense. The Bucs continue to be a mirror image of this Atlanta Falcons team with an explosive offense that can keep you in any game, as we just saw in Seattle. Just got to take every opportunity I can to say that these NFL overtime rules are the biggest travesty in all of professional sports. Let's get those rules changed. Scratch kickoffs, scratch punts. Put the ball on the 25-yard line on 4th down. If you want to go for it, you can. If you don't get it, the other team takes over right there. If you want to quote-unquote punt, you put the ball on the other 25-yard line and the other team takes over. Both teams get a chance to answer. There you go. No more games, playoff games, literally ruined by a mind-numbing rule that should not exist. All right, carrying on to the number 24 team here, the Cleveland Browns. They're very similar to the New York Jets. Had a lot of hype this season, even more so here with the Browns. There's still an inkling inside of me that makes me believe that this team can figure at least something out. There's too much talent on this team. Baker Mayfield showed too much as a rookie to not be a worse team than how they've looked, but at some point you do just got to keep dropping them. I mean, Freddie Kitchens does not look like he belongs as an NFL head coach. Their culture is an absolute disaster right now, and it's just not working here in Cleveland. Number 23, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to stay put here. They did lose to the Texans in London, but they kind of looked how I may have expected. I mean, Minshew was pretty bad. He'll play better than that, and they might be getting Nick Foles back. I mean, we kind of know what this Jags team is at this point. A competitive team, but no one you're really afraid of. And then number 22 with a tier jump up, and these are either really tough outs, in my opinion, or teams that are like really long shot playoff teams who are obviously going to be tough outs as well. So number 22, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The big talking point this week is that they may not have totally screwed up trading a first-round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick when they were 0-3. He has improved that defense. They've figured some things out offensively, that O-line really clicking, and the defense has really come together, in large part thanks to Minkah Fitzpatrick. You know, at worst here, this team probably won't have a top 10 pick. They probably won't be drafting a quarterback. That pick will effectively be Minkah Fitzpatrick, who they still have for 3 years of cheap control. You're probably not getting a player the caliber of a third-year Minkah at a valuable center field free safety position, so that trade seems to have worked out. This team is a long shot for the playoffs. It's probably going to have to be that AFC 6 seed with the way the Ravens are rolling right now. But things are still alive here in Pittsburgh. Number 21, the Arizona Cardinals, going to stay put here. Not really a surprise. You know, I picked them to cover against the Niners and lose. The score was almost identical to what I predicted. So the Cardinals kind of were who I thought they were this week. The defense is not very good, but Kyler Murray can really have some explosive plays. They got Andy Isabella going this week. I talked about him on the podcast about how he actually didn't look as fast as you would have thought for a guy that really climbed up the draft boards for a fast 40 times. So I don't know. I'm keeping my eye on Andy Isabella as maybe a potential bust, even though he had that big play this week. I don't know. Not going to make any hard takes there, but just a note. Number 20, the Tennessee Titans. I think I might actually just lock this in here. Lock them in at number 20 for eternity. They're clearly destined to stay 500 forever. They gave us optimism the last 2 weeks. If they won, they would have gone over 500, which is not acceptable for the Tennessee Titans. They must hover around 500 forever. So maybe I'll just officially lock them in at number 20, and until they win a playoff game, other than, I know they beat the Chiefs, but whatever. Until they win meaningful football games, we're going to lock them in at number 20, I think. The Chicago Bears going to drop down a spot here. Mitch Trubisky, it's embarrassing at this point. I have been at the forefront of the Mitch Trubisky is a terrible quarterback wagon, I suppose. I'm not alone in thinking that, but what I'm getting at here is I couldn't have even predicted that he would be this bad. I even said that the Chicago Bears won't be the 2018 Jacksonville Jaguars, even though they had all of the same signs for aggression in terms of staying perfectly healthy last season, being a defensive-oriented team with a bad quarterback, all of those things. I said that they wouldn't be the 2018 Jacksonville Jaguars because I didn't think Mitchell Trubisky was as bad as Blake Bortles. Well, he's been about as bad as Blake Bortles this season. It's been a disaster. This team is not going to be able to win football games if they can only, move the ball for negative 10 yards for the first 2 quarters of a football game against an Eagles secondary that has been a disaster this year. So the Bears are going to keep dropping. Not too far here, though, because this defense is still nasty. So they're still a competitive team with 3 wins, but, I mean, gosh, just get first downs. Man. Number 18 here, we've got the Detroit Lions dropping down 2 spots after a tough loss on the road against the Raiders. Nothing crazy going on here. I mean, they did have a chance to win the game at the very end there. They're falling too far behind in the NFC. They're still a tough out, but at this point, their season probably not going to happen. Number 17, the Oakland Raiders, going to go up +3 this week. They're staying alive. I still think this defense is #not good, but you got to be impressed with what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. They're probably a top 10 offense right now. Derek Carr's playing really well. Josh Jacobs has been a great piece to add here, along with all of the nice just additions and development and health that they've had on that offensive line, which is one of the best in the league right now. Gruden's proven that he's a pretty good offensive play caller. So, the Raiders are a really competitive team here at number 17. They're a long shot for that 6th seed in the AFC, but they could get it. Number 16, the Indianapolis Colts, going to drop down 3. A small part of that is the Jacoby Brissett injury. Another part of that is, they're just kind of proving what I've been kind of selling on these power rankings. Colts fans were very angry at me 2 weeks ago, but they don't really have much of a case now. Like, this team is a very perfectly average team, and that's not a bad thing. It speaks volumes to what this team has done over the last 2 years, given the fact that they've lost their quarterback to retirement. You can't really talk about Jacoby Brissett here. He was injured. Brian Hoyer stepped in and played, honestly, really well outside of the 1 pick six that ultimately kind of cost this team the game. But, this team is a team that can play up to their competition, but they'll also play down to their competition. They're a high floor, low ceiling team. I think 16 is a good spot for them. Number 15, the LA Chargers. I kind of tweeted about how this team was electric, pun intended, but they totally were playing for their lives this week. The Packers just couldn't care less this week, and the Chargers capitalized on that. The pass rush, getting Ingram back, has always been kind of why you feared the Chargers over especially last season. But when you got Bosa and Ingram healthy, they are going to get Derwin James back in here, and then their offensive line's playing better. They've got these receivers healthy. Melvin Gordon's kind of getting in a rhythm. This team is, again, pun intended, getting their energy back, and they're 4-5. They're lucky to be in the AFC, where 9 wins might get you in. But I tell you what, New England, Baltimore, Houston, Kansas City, they sure as hell do not want to play this Chargers team in the playoffs. They'd much rather get Jacoby Brissett or Mason Rudolph or the Raiders defense. They do not want this Chargers team in. I think this team is primed to go on a bit of a run here, just as they did 2 years ago when they fell just short of the playoffs. It's an eerily familiar season to that year. Unfortunately, they fell short of making the playoffs, but maybe they can get in this time. Number 14, the Carolina Panthers. They're going to go up 1 here. They've got a real test this week against a pissed-off Packers team. It's definitely going to be a litmus test game for this team, who, honestly, I don't think Cam Newton's coming back here. It's just not sounding very good. It's kind of just the feeling you got heading into the year that it was not looking good, and then just the ankle or shoulder, whatever's going on there. I think it's going to be Kyle Allen for an extended period of time. If they can go into Lambeau and win this game, I'll be taking them a lot more seriously. Beating the Titans at home, not really going to overwhelm me, but they are going to go up 1 here with a huge game this week with major playoff implications for them, because if they drop this one, they're going to be pretty far behind in that NFC wildcard race. And then moving up a spot here, the Buffalo Bills to number 13. Incredibly solid team. They've basically turned Josh Allen into a game manager. Not that I don't think he can or is more than that as a quarterback, but they're limiting his mistakes, playing great defense, winning their home games. They're going to be in the playoffs. I don't think they're going to go very far, but just because of their record, schedule ahead, just being a team that whoops on the bad teams, it's good enough to put them up here into the top kind of echelon of teams, I suppose. And then we do have a tier gap here. By the way, that last tier was kind of the more legitimate playoff contenders there, but teams that I can't really imagine winning a Super Bowl outside of the Chargers if they did get in. So number 12 here into our next tier gap. These are teams that I kind of can envision winning a Super Bowl. So the Dallas Cowboys fans aren't going to like this. Them moving down has nothing to do really with how the Cowboys have played, because they've been fine. It's more about what the teams moving up ahead of them have done, a la the Baltimore Ravens, who clearly deserve a big jump this week. But the Eagles are going to come in here at 11, and Cowboys fans aren't going to like this. The eye test just tells you that this Eagles team right now is a hell of a lot better than that, 3-4 football team or whatever that the Cowboys beat a couple weeks ago. The secondary is much more healthy. The defensive line's playing great. They've kind of discovered a little more identity on offense. They're just playing a little more cohesive. And this is a team that, hell, I picked to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC this year, but I also said in that very predictions video that the Eagles just might have a slow start, and I don't think people should overreact to that. So this team can get hot here, and they can get a home playoff game pretty easily. I talked about on the podcast 2 weeks ago that I think the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to be playing for the division in Philadelphia in Week 16, and it's very much shaping up like that. So I think the Eagles are figuring some things out. They're not a perfect team. They're not as good as I thought they were heading into the year, but they're definitely a team that people don't want to see in the playoffs. So number 10, the Houston Texans here, going to drop down a spot. It's just the Ravens. Like, they're just moving up here. So for the Texans, who are a team carried by their quarterback at the moment and the rest of their offense, that's very good. They're just going to get passed up by the Ravens here. The Rams on bye week, they're going to get passed up here. And then the Seahawks, who narrowly escaped against Tampa Bay, if coin toss went the other way and overtime rules weren't so crappy, who knows if they even win this game. But they did come away with a win. They got a huge game against the Niners this week. And then this is where the Ravens are going to land here at number 7. It was a dominant performance, and I really dove into the Ravens on my podcast. I got limited time here. Basically, I'm excited to watch Lamar. I did like him coming out of the draft. Ravens fans think I'm a Ravens hater. Those that have kind of followed me through the years, I actually really like the Ravens. I just didn't come away after watching Lamar last year overly impressed with his ability to throw the football. And that has changed. He has kind of improved his accuracy by any metric you look at. If I need to defend them at number 7, I think that's a good spot for them. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of hype coming off of that Patriots win. We still haven't seen this team open up an explosive passing attack against legitimate offenses. Right now, the Patriots offense is not a good offense, and this Ravens defense, I think, is good, not great. So while they had a dominant performance at home against a Patriots team that is apparently a little overrated, they are going to come up, but I'm still not in on this team as the top 3 team that I'm sure NFL Network and ESPN is going to place them as. I'm not willing to put them over more complete football teams, more well-rounded football teams. Yes, they have one really good punch, but what do they look like when a team takes that punch away? Just because the Patriots couldn't take that punch away this week doesn't mean teams won't be able to do that in the future. All right. That's the Ravens spiel. I'm sure everyone will be incredibly respectful towards me about that ranking in the comments below. I'm definitely not worried about that at all. Number 6, the Minnesota Vikings, not going to move here. They came extremely close to winning this game in Kansas City. That was not an easy win. Yes, they do not have Patrick Mahomes. They have some injuries, but that's still a really good Chiefs team there, especially at Arrowhead. So I'm not going to overreact to this one. They showed some nice things. They made some big mistakes. The Vikings kind of looked like I expected this week. I still think that when they play at home, they are the best team in the NFL. And then number 5, this is where the Patriots are going to come in here. Look, they've done this year and year again, where we think they're done. They get demolished here in the middle of the season. They still have one loss on the season. They're going to be fine. They're still probably going to be playing in the AFC Championship. I think Bill Belichick's already licking his chops to get another crack at this Ravens team in Foxborough next time. That said, there's concerns here. I don't think that the Patriots have this scary feel that they may have had a couple weeks ago after just slaughtering D1 AA teams. There definitely was some truth to how easy their schedule was, making them look better. I think that the offensive line's a major concern. Fact is, Tom Brady, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play, but when he doesn't have protection, he can't do what Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes do and elude pressure. And the Patriots don't have a good offensive line right now. It's a concern for this offense. They don't have a number 1 wide receiver. Josh Gordon's gone. Mohamed Sanu is a number 2. Julian Edelman is not playing well right now. Their run game is miserable. Not only can they not pass block, they can't run block. This is a bottom half offense right now. And defensively, this is not the best defense of all time like people were saying coming off of that schedule. It's a super solid defense, but they are the Patriots defense. They're going to bend, not break. They don't have an elite pass rush, but they're going to be secure tacklers, not give up big plays. They're going to play discipline, make you beat them with other pieces that aren't your number one weapons. And historically, they've had a good offense to counteract that. I don't know if that's the case anymore. That said, they're still probably going to be playing in the AFC Championship, in my opinion. Number 4, the Green Bay Packers. It was a bad week. It was a really bad week. They just didn't show up on either side of the ball. The line play that has been the strengths of this team throughout the course of the season, especially the offensive line, neither lines showed up on offense or defense. Rodgers was not sharp. They weren't able to run the ball. The coverage was bad. It was just a rough week. The Chargers were fighting for their lives. I'm fully expecting the Packers to have a dominant bounce-back performance in Lambeau against the Panthers this week. So I'm not going to overreact because I'm kind of projecting that to happen. I'm not going to overreact to one loss for this Packers team. Number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. Big win against the Vikings. They're starting to get healthier. It looks like Mahomes is going to be back this week. I think they're kind of licking their chops, seeing the Patriots lose this week, getting some of their guys back. I think they're pretty fired up for the second half of the season. I think we're going to start to see some more magic from the Chiefs and kind of be reminded what this team can look like at full force because it's been a minute since we saw it. And then the Niners, they're going to get their respect this week. I've been slower on this team because I've liked what the Chiefs and Packers have shown. But the thing that the Niners did this week, and people are going to be like, oh, they barely beat a terrible Cardinals team. Well, I actually think the Cardinals are pretty good. And yeah, their defense did show some steps back. That's why I was ranking them 5 because, yeah, the defense has been awesome, but I didn't think they were the best defense in the NFL. I think it's a very good defense, but they do have some holes, and it finally showed this week. But why they're moving up is one of the reasons I was slower to move them up is we hadn't seen the Niners with that counterpunch like we were talking about with the Ravens earlier. They've been able to run the ball down teams' throats week after week. And this week, they kind of had to pass the ball. They had to lean on Jimmy Garoppolo. And I love Jimmy Garoppolo, but we hadn't seen him do it yet. Really put this team on his back offensively. And he did it. So really encouraging for the Niners. And then you got the Saints at number 1. So the NFC, the top 2 spots right now, the Saints were on bye this week. They're happy to see the Packers lose, the Vikings lose, 2 top NFC threats for those first-round byes. So they're in really good shape as they continue the rest of the season with a healthy Drew Brees. So a lot of stuff to talk about this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. A reminder to please do hit that like button. If you made it this far, you might as well. So cheers, guys. We'll see you for the next one. Peace.